Today we are with Vladimir Khomyakov, and he has been invited to, actually flew in from California, from Los Angeles, where he lives and works as well. Vladimir, walk us through a little bit of your connection to Houston, because when I looked at your background, you had a competition here, you've played here, you played with the symphony. So you have a pretty strong connection to Houston, Texas, aside from the invitation, of course. But tell us a little bit about that background and why Houston is important to you.
That's true. I have very positive memories from Houston.
Yes.
Back to 2013, when I came here to participate in the IMAHawk music competition, international competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Houston Symphony competition.
Sure.
So it was very competitive, and as a result, I became a silver medalist in this competition. So it's basically second prize.
That's a very, very competitive company. That's worldwide. I mean, you have to be invited into that, yes?
Yeah. We collaborated with Houston Symphony after that, and performed Prokofiev's third piano concerto several times together. That was unforgettable, very special experience. So I have excellent memories from that year, from Houston, and then I came later several times. I visited for concerts. Yeah, so I'm very passionate about Houston and Texas. Yeah.
Good.
It's actually funny because sometimes people ask me in LA, "Oh, you're going to Houston? That must be super humid, super hot."
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "No, I love that place."
Just maybe not in the middle of August. It's very hot.
I remember when I performed, it was 104, and that was at the Miller Outdoor Theater.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was at the end of June.
At the end of June.
That was 104 in Tuxedo.
It's warm.
Quite special.
Welcome to Houston. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that was
absolutely. What did you perform at Miller? What did you do?
Prokofiev number 3.
Okay. Yeah. Did you choose? Do you choose your own pieces that you like to play? Or?
No, that was what they chose from the competition.
From the competition.
Yeah.
Okay. So those that performed at the competition and have done well in the competition, were they asked to then play? Because it's almost a tradition that the symphony plays at Miller.
Right.
Yeah.
That was that ExxonMobil's Summer Symphony Nights, the festival. They picked the Prokofiev 3 over. I also performed Beethoven number 3 in that competition. They picked it because it's a bigger piece and it's more show-off and bigger orchestra and so
it's the full orchestra. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the full.
I always thought that stage was air conditioned. Is it air conditioned for you? Kind of.
I haven't noticed that. There are fans blowing on the ceiling. Yeah, but
have you noticed the crowd is very big, right?
It was like 10,000 people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because you have to actually get tickets like either the day before or you have to get in line, and people will wait a day, and they'll just they'll put chairs and they'll wait the whole day or in the evening just to get in. So good.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare for something like a competition that's that intense? What's your preparation?
Well, first of all, of course, you need to find time to practice on a regular basis.
Sure.
Competition of this scale or similar usually involves a lot of both technical and mental preparation, which is required, and the concentration on what you're doing has to be 200%. So you try as much as possible to eliminate things that distract you in your daily life, in your...
Is this your primary focus? So now you know that you're going to see, you're in this competition, so that's you're just absolutely 100% focused.
Yes, it's the older you become, the more difficult it is. That's why
is that?
Because more things in life, you become more, you need to work, you need to teach, you need to, you have other performances, you have other things in life. At that time I was still at school.
Okay.
So I was doing my doctorate at USC in Los Angeles, and I had to miss a lot of classes. Yeah, nobody understands that.
So that's stressful in itself, right?
That's stressful, yeah, but you need to choose.
Sure.
You want to be a good student, or you want to perform.
Right.
Yeah. It's always a choice, and it's a tough choice.
Absolutely.
Especially in the United States.
Do you get guidance from, let's say, your teacher or someone that you have kind of your mentorship to say, you have to make that choice, are you going to study or are you going to perform,
Well, with my background, I don't make that choice because when I studied at St. Petersburg Conservatory or Moscow Conservatory, that choice is very obvious for everyone, including my professor and including my other teachers at the conservatory. So if you prepare for major competition, it's very easy to arrange. So when I got here, the situation was different.
Different.
Yeah.
Do you find, Vladimir, that there's a difference in perhaps journey, path, discipline between a European, let's say, discipline in terms of how you will approach being a professional musician versus, say, in the United States? Because we've interviewed with others that are from Spain and other places in Italy and France, and they said the discipline's a little different in terms of the path that you take. And you mentioned something where your path is kind of defined for you. You don't have to make that choice, right?
Yes, it's much more strict and much more like yes or no.
Yes or no.
So if you do it, you need to do it
this way
at the best level possible.
Okay.
So you need to sacrifice all the other things. Here in the United States, it's not that strict for people. Yeah. So in Europe, there is no let me see how it goes. There is not such a thing.
There's no gray area. There's nothing in the middle.
Nothing in the middle. If you want to do it, you need to do it.
That's right.
Even if it takes, I don't know, time, if you lose friends, if you lose some other opportunities, you just focus on one thing and you do one thing.
That's right.
It's very different from approach here. And that was cultivated in general in the Soviet time, which we all have that heritage a little bit in our genes. Including like Moscow Conservatory and St. Petersburg Conservatory.
Because you've performed all over all throughout Western Europe. You've been in many competitions, and you have a very full schedule that reflects all of that. I guess you would say discipline, no?
Yes, it's sometimes you can't control yourself. It happens. Yeah, and you need a break. And usually when I have a very intensive concert tour, like for a month and a half. Like the ones in Asia, usually they last that long, and you have concerts every day. After that, I cannot make myself come to the piano for at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
At least 2 weeks, I cannot stand.
You just need to get away from it a little bit, sure.
Yeah, I just, my brain doesn't work, my fingers don't want to do anything. 2 weeks later, exactly.
Talk a little bit about Asia, because you spent a lot of time there. No, were you in China, and I believe you went through Japan as well?
I've never been to Japan yet, but I've been to Korea, and I've been to China for quite a long time.
How do you find the audience in China as receptive to a classical music genre?
It's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
You can feel that the passion about classical music and classical piano is very young in this country comparing to the European culture, where it grew up within the last 400 years, starting from Baroque time and all the way to the 20th century. In China, that only started maybe, how long ago? Like a half a century, approximately. With a big influence from Soviet Union, of course. Yeah, where a lot
and European too, as well, no?
A lot of the first Chinese, the first generation of Chinese pianists, they all basically studied in Russia and the Soviet Union, right? Yeah. So you can feel that the culture is very young, but at the same time, the attendance of the concerts is huge. Like, people go to the concerts.
Go to the concerts.
They go to the concerts much more than they go here. And it's sometimes even like a shame. You feel when you come there, everybody comes, from very young people to very old people.
Yes,
and sometimes in the bigger venues, they even put that 1 meter stick. So whoever is under 1 meter cannot get in, because otherwise you have too many kids
Right.
at that time. Yeah. When I build my program for Chinese audience, you want to avoid certain repertoire, of course.
Okay.
I try not to include something that would not resonate with their
Sure.
heart.
Sure.
For instance, something very philosophic, long, slow. There is a big chance that you will not have the response from the audience.
Sure.
Because if you play, for example, longer work by Schumann or longer work by Brahms, these people maybe have not read, I don't know, Goethe, or they're not familiar with that
They're not familiar, right.
with that culture.
Right.
That's why it's better to build the program with music which is more popular.
Sure.
That includes Beethoven sonatas,
Beethoven's, right.
Mozart sonatas.
Yeah,
that
sure.
includes works by Chopin.
Chopin.
That includes works by Russian composers. Again, because
Right.
a lot of
They've had the
they had
some
Russian
introduction.
training.
Sure.
So Rachmaninoff goes perfectly
That's
well.
great.
Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Prokofiev not that much because it's a little more complicated
Sure.
Melodically. And of course, it's important to have a lot of encores because people love it.
They love it.
And yeah, if you want to have
You know, I
successful-
think it's very important, though, because
Yeah.
that audience is young and it's growing, and they seem to absorb it, right? So you play to that audience so that they walk
Yeah.
away with that, so that they understand. Not
Yeah.
that they're, because sometimes, you know, when you go to a classic concert, you know, the music is played, the symphony is there, the piece is done, the performance, they get off the stage, they bow, and everybody goes home.
Yeah.
But when we have audience engagement, and they really feel like they're a part of the audience, I think that really helps everyone, because, like you said, we struggle here in the United States a little bit is getting the attendance, right?
Yes. There you have the people. All you need to do is to present
Yeah.
yourself correctly,
That's
to
right.
give them the right product that they will enjoy.
That's great.
Yeah. If they don't enjoy what you're doing, why
Do
are
you
you
put
doing
your
it?
programs together? For you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And do you do your programs that say in Asia, and then the programs you do in Europe, and the programs you do in the States?
Totally different.
Totally different. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Programs in Russia are totally different.
Completely different.
Completely different from the programs in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when we looked at you and I found you, and I was doing, you know, the background on your bio and all of the things that you've done, and you've got an amazing structural background as a classical pianist. It's very, very strong, right? It's very deep rooted, and it's an inspiration. One of the things we like to do with Applause to Musician is just say, hey, what drives you to be or to continue, so where you started and where you're kind of taking your career, because we like to just impart that message to those that were you 20 years ago when they were just sitting at a piano one day and saying, you know, I like this enough that I'd like to pursue it. What's that message that you would like maybe to impart?
It's a very difficult question to begin with, because the times have changed dramatically from what it was 20 years ago to what it is now. I would even say 30 years ago. There were much fewer people playing the piano back then, which was still too many comparing to
today,
even back 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so the number of people who are playing piano professionally is now, it's crazy. It's especially in Asia, especially in China.
Sure.
And if you decide, like I have decided, to devote your life entirely to music, you're at a very high risk today. You're at it's a very dangerous decision which may ruin all your life, because the world doesn't need that many pianists.
Okay.
There are not that many concert halls.
That's true.
And there are not that many performance opportunities. I'm looking back at my colleagues, even from my year at the conservatory, from my year at school. Very few of them performing.
Okay.
most of them who got the degree, the best in the world education in classical piano, they end up just simply teaching. They don't have a chance to perform. That's why deciding to pursue a career of a professional pianist, it's a very high risk.
High risk.
Very high risk. It used to be high risk 20 years ago, but right now, everything is getting much, much worse. So if you as a child, yeah, you cannot make some decisions. So that maybe applies to more like to parents or teachers. First of all, you need to start young.
Young.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are very few exceptions in the world who started late and got very famous. Very few. Most of the people start very young. So today we're talking at least 4 years old, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. 6 is maybe the latest. You need to have a right teacher.
Teachers.
From the very beginning. Because those first years, they will...
It's the formation.
That's the formation.
You had the formation with your parents, no? Your parents were all musicians.
Yeah, my parents professional musicians.
Yeah. What did they play? Were they also pianists?
My father is an organist. He also is a pianist, of course. And my mother is also classical pianist. They both graduated from the
Well, we find there's always that kind of a correlation when we find that the parents are musicians or somehow musically inclined, that kind of translates into the child looking at that seriously.
Yeah, my whole family are musicians. My grandfather is a musician, my uncle is a musician, also pianist. So.
Do you have brothers and sisters as well?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm the only one. So to find the right teacher at this age is very important. So if you make a mistake with the teacher at this age, you lose in time. So you're not only losing time, you might also need to, if you find the right teacher later, to redo things.
Is it too late at that time?
It depends how bad was the first and how good is the second. But finding the right professor, right mentor, right teacher at the very young age can change everything dramatically. And if you're lucky and if you met that person, then you have a chance. Then there are many other factors like hands, shape of hands, size of hands, muscles.
Is that technique? Are you talking more in technique, or just the physicality of?
That's both. Physicality is technique. Technique is physicality.
Sure.
And also like hearing, like ears. Perfect pitch, no perfect pitch also makes things.
Is that something that develops over time, or you're born with that?
I was born with that. People say they can develop it, but I doubt, to be honest. I know a lot of people who are great musicians without perfect pitch.
That's interesting.
It's not a necessary thing, but that thing helps me personally to learn much faster, because you can predict, you can hear the you can hear the different notes and different colors. That's very important. Also, like natural musicality and passion to music also is very different from one person to another. Some people don't care about music until they turn 14, and then something happens and they start loving it. Other very young kids, like 5, 6 years old, they go to the piano by themselves and they love the sound, and they just sit and enjoy. So that also matters. And of course, this path, you need to have tons of luck. Luck with the first teacher, luck with the environment you were born in, luck with the right location, right schools. You need to see opportunities, and the parents must be smart in that. Because if you don't take this opportunity, somebody else takes you out.
Because it's competitive,
right? It's extremely, it's as like competitive like never before.
Like never before.
It's never been like this in the
playing
history.
a piece and you know what it wants, you know how you want it to sound?
I know. But when I learn it and I play it and I record myself, I realize that I didn't know how it should be because I don't like it.
Okay.
It's like looking at the mirror.
Right.
You can do perfect makeup without the mirror, but then you come to the mirror
Yes.
and you look at it, do a like this, and then you start making corrections.
Right.
That's my advice to any pianist, that the technology we have today, recording technology, it's unbelievable compared to what
Of course.
30 years ago.
Of course.
I remember recording myself on the cassette like deck, yeah, and then something happened that didn't work. Today you can put your phone and record yourself. So it's very important to record your own performances. At the very early stage, when you just learn the piece, just put your phone or whatever, everybody has that thing now,
Sure.
and record and listen, and you will find out that your speed is different, your time control is not what you think it is,
Sure.
your sound control is not what you think it is, because what you hear from inside is not
Right.
what.
Absolutely.
So this is like looking in the mirror, and this is, if you're smart enough and you have a good teacher, this is your best friend, that kind of recording machine.
There's no way to. It's very truthful, right? It's very authentic, right?
Yes.
You can't deviate from what.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you even think, like, people 50 years ago, they didn't have this chance
That's right.
to do it on a regular basis, to just sit in your living room or anywhere, or in the dorm even somewhere, yeah, like practicing on the piano and just record yourself right away. This is something very special. Another very important moment, which big advantage students have today, and not only students, the pianists, is access to any recording in the world.
Libraries of music. Yeah.
Things like on the internet, you can find the video of anybody,
That's right.
anytime, from anywhere. It's unbelievable. I remember buying all the cassettes, buying the CDs, had the whole wall of CDs. Now they're all garbage because it's all in the phone.
Right.
And you can, if you need advice from Horowitz, you just find this piece Horowitz is playing, you just listen. Here's Horowitz teaching you, telling you what to do. All you need to do is pick it up.
That's right.
And record yourself and compare. Is it like Horowitz or is it worse? Probably it's worse. So go practice. That's the best teacher. You basically, today, you even don't need, at a certain level, you even don't need a teacher, because all these
I guess that could be good and bad. How often do you practice?
Not that much.
Not that much
anymore. Unfortunately, I practice around 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day?
2-3 hours a day, because I also have to teach, have to take care of my life.
Sure.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was practicing.
So when you were younger, what did you practice? What was it, 6-8 hours a day?
I didn't count, to be honest, because when I have a competition coming up or performance coming up, I wake up, I have coffee, I have like breakfast if there is something, and I just start practicing. Then I have a lunch, then I start practicing, then I'm tired, I go relax for half an hour and then go sleep. That's, I don't know how many hours that is.
And that's
8, 7, 5, 9. Yeah, so it really depends.
Because we find that sometimes, today in the modern world, it's very difficult for children that want to pursue the discipline of music, finding the time. So we had a teacher, and she's she's a violinist, and she's played in symphonies and so forth. And she wrote a book about that. And she said one of the first things that she would teach, help the parents understand, is just have the child open the case. That's the first step to them actually saying, if I open the case, then the next step is to take the instrument out and actually then, small steps, but just to get them motivated, because there's always an excuse to say, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I have to do 1,000 things, and so.
I hear that from my students sometimes.
You hear that, yeah?
Yeah. A person is like 15 years old, oh, I'm too busy.
Too busy.
Like, what are you doing in your life? What are you busy with? Yeah. Oh, I have so many things. Really? Like, you have so many things. Like, okay.
Is that frustrating for you as a teacher?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is very frustrating, yeah.
Because you appear to be it seems you're very, very disciplined and focused in your profession. And I think you demand that from your students as well, especially if they're going to devote the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than see that people are wasting their time.
Wasting their time.
Yeah, and I'm wasting my time with them, and they're not gonna do any better unless they change their attitude and
Sure.
Time management. Yeah.
So go back, and you said, you know, a lot of some of the technicality and things. Are you are you comfortable telling your students that maybe this is not the right instrument, or maybe this is not the right avenue for you to pursue?
I try to talk to them honestly from time to
Yeah.
time. Usually it's not about the instrument, because any instrument, if you want to play it well, will require a lot of time.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
What's next for you as a performer and teacher? Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 2, 4, 5, 6 years from now?
Well, hopefully to be alive by then.
We think so.
So we never know. I try not to plan things that far,
Okay.
but I'm just trying to do my best at this particular moment, so later I don't regret about what I've done.
The smart thing is never to make the same mistake. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. The rest is experience.
Good. You know, we found you on social media as well, and you've got a very active presence, and I think that's another side of the equation as a performer and a musician, right? Is because today, as you mentioned, it's not a cassette player anymore, it's not a CD,
Yeah.
it's you've got to be out there, right? Because that's how people find you, and you know, you have Spotify and you have YouTube and you have a lot of, and I think that's also very, very important. And we find that some musicians and performers struggle because they want to perform and they want to play and they want to practice, and they go, oh my God, I've got to do that too, right? So it's kind of, it's a little bit of a balance.
Yeah, ideally you need to have a person who will do it for you.
That's good.
That's the perfect balance, because
Yeah.
that itself takes a lot of time.
It does. But you have a great social media presence.
Thank
Your
you.
website is great. I call it almost like a branding effort, right? Because you brand yourself as a musician and as a performer and as an artist, right? And
It changed just recently. I would say 5, 6, 7 years ago that wouldn't matter that much.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It changed rapidly. Just within.
Because today, as you said, you know, you can see everything is live, right? So
Yeah.
just type in a name, and you know, wherever you want to find it, you can find it, because it's an archive. It's
Yes.
a live archive, right? You live in California,
Yeah.
right? Do you like living in do you like living? Is California good for you?
Well, I grew up in the winter.
So
The first, I would say 20 years of my life, I've seen too much snow. And I always dreamed of living in a place where there is no winter.
an ocean, right?
An ocean.
An
I love
ocean, yeah.
ocean. I love sun. And this is a perfect place to be. The climate there is very special.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
So you can be in the beach, and then in an hour you can be in the mountains skiing. or if you
Skiing.
want.
Yeah, and then if you like desert, you can go.
You can go to the desert, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like forest, you can go
You
north.
can do that as well.
Yeah,
Good,
it's a
good.
very special place, and I really enjoy it.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. We're happy to have you here in Houston. I know you got a little special place in your heart for Houston as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just want to say до свидания.
До свидания.
All right, thank you very, very much.
Arrivederci.
Welcome.